Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.
And welcome in, everyone. It's Keep It in the Ring, this Thursday night edition live, July 25th, 2024, live on my YouTube channel, Rich Mancuso, Dravonis United, also String Punk Entertainment, and Facebook, all of the social media platforms. As always, thank you for tuning in. Your weekly combat sports with the boxing, the pro wrestling, some MMA this week, not much. However, we got a ton of boxing news, even though it's the summer. Now, my social media handles, as always, for Rich Mancuso, scroll to the bottom, X, formerly Twitter, Ring786, Facebook.com, Rich Mancuso, and also you can log on there and get comments to me, and I want you to like, comment, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Rich Mancuso. Much appreciated if you do, and I'll get back to you all. If you email, send whatever you do, I'll try, and I always try and do my best. Your continued support is much appreciated, as always, weekly here as we keep it in the ring. The fight schedule is a little light this week. The major one coming up next Saturday, and that's Terrence Crawford at 154. The Riot season comes to the United States and Los Angeles. That's scrolled at the bottom a little bit, and there'll be more of that in the weeks to come. We're in that summer season, boxing a little slow, picking up. We get into September. However, as always, we keep it in the ring. I want to thank Thomas D. has a show here also on YouTube and other platforms, pitching in tonight for my producer, Scott Chershin, who has a family emergency, and I hope, Scott, you're okay and the family's well. Our prayers are with you, and hopefully you'll join us again next week. So, Thomas, at the last moment, pitching in, and I want to thank Tom, and you'll hear from him later in the hour. Okay, let's get to it. So, Jake Paul was the highlight this past weekend, and Canelo Alvarez also becomes a highlight with the fight announcement official against Edward Berlanga. But let's talk about Jake Paul, because Jake Paul was the highlight. Jake Paul continues his boxing career, yet still, as I always say, not with the established opponents. You know, Jake Paul, before over 18,000 fans down in Tampa, seen on DAZN pay-per-view, on the Zone pay-per-view and pay-per-view.com. Well, he's improving in every fight. There's no doubt about it. But is he legitimate? And still not to me and many others in the fight world until he fights an established opponent. But he is improving. He disposed Mike Perry, and he is jabbing is better. His footwork is better. You're taking a look at the fight with Mike Perry. Disposed Mike Perry, and he continues to, as he says, improve, and wants to make a mark in this boxing business as a cruiserweight right now. However, Jake Paul has got to decide whether he wants to be an MMA fighter or continue fighting as a pro fighter. Well, you know, he called Alex Pereira, the renowned and reputed UFC champion MMA fighter who's seeking a heavyweight title as well. They FaceTimed each other after the fight. I thought that was pretty funny. Jake Paul will go after anyone, and Alex Pereira thinks him and Jake Paul would be a good match in the octagon. Let's see. They talk, it happens. You know how it goes in boxing and MMA and so forth. Alex Pereira FaceTiming him. Mike Tyson, though, awaits Jake Paul. Supposedly it's set again for November 15th on Netflix pay-per-view. Jake Paul wants to be this established fighter and champion, yet he's fighting Mike Tyson on November 15th, a fight that was pushed back because Tyson came down ill with some ulcer problems. Supposedly Tyson, we haven't heard much about him, and then Tyson says the fight is still on, though. So does Jake Paul on the next MVP Promotions card. That's going to be in Dallas, Texas, and Arlington, in fact, at the Cowboys Stadium, on Amazon Prime pay-per-view and Amazon and so forth, the newest players in the boxing business, going with the Jake Paul extravaganza against Mike Tyson. So Mike Tyson says November 15th, He's ready. Jake Paul says that's his next fight. But what is Jake Paul doing in there, going in? Why is he going in there with Mike Tyson, my friends? That's not legitimate to make him, as he says all the time, to be the best fighter in the world. Now, as a cruiserweight, we don't know much. That division is mediocre. We all know that. Jake Paul can maybe want to fight his heavyweight, even go down weight in class. But, based on 9 fights and 9-1, I believe, something like that, we haven't seen the real Jake Paul that he says to be the best in the world. Mike Tyson's not going to help him do that. And you hope Mike Tyson is healthy enough if he does this and does not get hurt. He's 58 years of age. There's a big day difference with Jake Paul. It's an extravaganza, make a lot of money. November 15th, that will do. People are buying into it. They want to see Mike Tyson again, the former heavyweight champion, the Hall of Famer. They want to see Jake Paul because he's also a phenom, social media expert, and just loves the attention, but fights to get the attention. The thing is that Jake Paul is improving, and that's the thing to look at. If a fighter is improving, then you could say all well and do. But if a fighter like Jake Paul keeps continue his boxing skills as he's shown and he has, and doesn't fight quality opponents, well, then you can't take him as legitimate. However, he does draw numbers on pay-per-view. This fight supposedly did respected numbers again. Did it reach a million mark? Not yet. It could be. The final tallies are not in. He makes a lot of money. He makes a lot of money with his promotion, MVP. I am not a big fan of his, and many of you are, because you believe Jake Paul draws in attention to the boxing business overall. Yes, he does. He makes money. Yes, he does. He draws in younger people. Yes, he does. He helps other fighters get on his cards. And for that, you got to give him a lot of credit. However, in this sport of boxing, to become established and legitimate, you have to show that. You have to fight quality opponents. Mike Perry went in there, did better than expected. At least I thought, and many of you did, as I see on social media. However, Mike Perry is a bare knuckles fighter. He's not a pro fighter. Bare knuckle fighters has a different style than a pro fighter. Jake Paul's been able to adapt to anyone, even an MMA fighter, as you know. But I want to see Jake Paul fight legitimate fighters to say he's really established and legitimate as a cruiserweight or whatever weight division he so decides to do in the sport. I have nothing against Jake Paul. And yes, again, I'll repeat, he's good for the sport in many ways. He gives the sport exposure. However, final word here on this, it's not the exposure you want to see, because there are many out there, including the skeptics and many boxing purists, including myself, who feel Jake Paul's not legitimate enough and is not good for the sport, and that this is strictly entertainment and not the sport of boxing. I want to know your thoughts on that, my friends. Comment, like, and subscribe here on my YouTube channel, Rich Mancuso, and also my social media. I really want to know your opinions about Jake Paul. I haven't been getting enough of that, and I want to hear it as we await his next fight, November 15th, with Mike Tyson. But he won it in round 6. Perry went down a few times. The final punch stats, I got to go over that again. I think we have those. If we don't, well, let's say him. Here we go. Here's an example of it again before I wrap this up with him. 52 jabs, 44 power punches. Pretty good. And Perry, 96 punches, all from Paul overall, though. That's the difference. That was difference in this fight. Kept Jake Paul in there all along. But Paul with 52 jabs and 44 by power punchers, as the punch stats say. I think that's pretty damn good. Are they hard and effective punches, though? I don't know. Yeah, Mike Perry says that he was he was tough to handle. Mike Tyson fight November 15th with Jake Paul. I don't even know if we should warrant doing punch stats for that. Let's see him fight a legitimate fighter and see how good that punching ability is, how effective the jab is, and the power punches overall as he scores points with the judges. But however, when you talk about Jake Paul helping a fighter, here is one that once again co-main evented with him as the chief support on the pay-per-view Saturday night. I'm talking about Amanda Serrano, the pride of Puerto Rico and Brooklyn, New York, the female featherweight champion. You know what? Jake Paul has propelled her to an epic proportion right now. Amanda Serrano's his main fighter in the MVP boxing stable he owns. And Amanda Serrano continues to become the female fighting champion, and more so, Amanda Serrano with her latest dominating win on Saturday over Stevie Morgan. Amanda Serrano shows that she's the top female fighter in the sport. She is a credit to the sport and to all females who want to will be like her and look up to her. And she has brought a lot of attention to the sport for females. In fact, I will say it again. Because of Amanda Serrano, I am on the bandwagon for female fighters. I never was. I pay attention to Amanda Serrano, the featherweight, landing 41 of 91 punches in the first round. And Morgan threw 41 and only landed 7. The end came at 38 seconds of round 2. Total domination. And now we await the rematch. Amanda Serrano, Katie Taylor. That rematch going to be on that Tyson Paul card on November 15th on Netflix pay-per-view. The rematch, Taylor took the title from Serrano in New York City at Madison Square Garden. The first female title fight that main evented the main arena at the Garden that sold out. And this rematch has been anticipated. It's going to happen, assuming no one gets hurt. Somewhere along the line, in between now and November 15th, we get to see Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor again. And that woman, that talented young female, Amanda Serrano, a credit to the sport and also to all females who want to be just like her in the sport of boxing. So congratulations to Amanda Serrano as she continues. This guy, though, who was on the undercard, should be fighting no more. I don't know why. He had been laid. It hadn't been in the ring. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., the son of the living legend, Julio Cesar Chavez, as a cruiserweight. And at one time, he was a successful middleweight, even a champion. You know, why is he fighting? It's horrible. He's out of shape. Can't take him seriously. You know, he came back after like almost 2 years being out of the ring. He's been beset with problems out of the ring. That's been chronicled and known. 38 years of age, out of the ring 2.5 years. He's simply not good, even as a cruiserweight. The judges gave him the decision. All right. At one, he's now 54-6-1 with 3 knockouts. Once a middleweight. But he won this because he boxed behind his jab. That's why he won this fight. He didn't have much of an opponent. He decisioned a guy I hardly heard of, Uribe Hall, Rob Hall. But this guy, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., says he wants to fight Jake Paul next. And you wonder if that would be legitimate enough for Jake Paul to move on and become the best in the world. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. once had a promising career. Now he's almost like an exhibition to me as a cruiserweight. And then what is his father thinking about all this? We don't know. We haven't heard about it. They did have a division in the past, and I don't know if they're still on seeking terms. But he moved on again after 2.5 years. All right, let's talk about more fights of significance, though, coming up on the calendar. And let's talk about a fight that's not going to happen anytime soon that we thought we'd see. Talking about Vasily Lomachenko not fighting Gervonta Davis anytime soon. A mega fight for the sport at 140, hot division, or even at 135 if you want to say that. But Lomachenko says he's not in the mood to fight. He has no motivation. He's going to spend more time with his family in the Ukraine. It's not about the money, he says. But you want to see Gervonta Davis and Lomachenko get it going, and we're not going to have it. At least not this year. Hopefully, maybe next. So what's next for that great young champion, Gervonta Davis, who many considered to be the top pound-for-pound fighter in the world? Maybe not top, but top 3 for sure. Is Isaac Pitbull Cruz, the other champion at 140, awaiting Gervonta Davis now? Or is it William Zapata, the number 1 rated lightweight? Or is it Shakur Stevenson, the free agent now, no longer with Top Rank, and looking maybe at a matchroom boxing contract with Eddie Hearn, multi-fight contract that might be close to happening? And Eddie Hearn says for sure that he can put Shakur Stevenson in there with Gervonta Davis very, very soon. That remains to be seen. But for the moment, Vasily Lomachenko has stepped aside. He'll be back. He just needs some time to get his head together. And he says again, it's not about the money. He just needs some time away from the sport. Let's see how this develops. And we know how this keeps developing every week on the program. I talk about this. The suspended Ryan Garcia. You got to keep talking about him because he makes himself known on social media. Ryan Garcia, now this week, says he's in Japan. Last week was in Hawaii. Suspended for a year, as you know, and comes up with a new haircut with the Jesus Christ cross symbol at the back of his head. That's what he's advertising, except about going into rehab to help him more as a person, as an individual, and to propel his fight career at 25 years of age, where he still hasn't got a legacy. All right. And then he gets involved with politics. He's claiming about Joe Biden, just like that. Joe Biden is dead. All the shit you do without is true. You know, he talked about Joe Biden no longer being the presidential candidate, and he's a Donald Trump supporter. He makes that known on social media. Ryan Garcia, keep your mouth and nose out of politics. Concentrate on your boxing career. But to say that just like that, Joe Biden is dead, he's insinuating that Joe Biden's an old man and is dead. You know whose career is dead right now? Not Joe Biden. Ryan Garcia's career, because he's suspended for a year. Yet every day on social media, not as much as it was, but still constant. It does happen morning to night. Ryan Garcia's got to make the world know, here's where I am. This is what I got to say. These are my views. That's what I'm doing. Look, all power to him. He's got a lot of money, and he makes more because he's got the over 1.5 million viewers, supporters, and followers on social media between Instagram and X, formerly Twitter. But where is he? We don't know. We do know this. He's not in rehab. That's where he belongs. Terrence Crawford's been talking about maybe something with Ryan Garcia, but that's not going to happen. Terrence Crawford, though, was you're going to see this on SmackDown tomorrow night. He's involved with WWE. They SmackDown, and I'll talk about it later in the wrestling segment, taped Friday Night SmackDown for tomorrow night on Fox in his hometown in Oklahoma. And Terrence Crawford got involved in the action. You're going to watch that. And I'm going to give you a tease. If you don't want to hear it, then close your ears. He knocked out Austin Theory. You're going to see that tomorrow night. So Terrence Crawford was just there because it's in the hometown. No, he's not getting involved with WWE and pro wrestling because next week Terrence Crawford has a more important agenda on his calendar. As the Riyadh season debuts in Los Angeles, August 3rd, on Zone Pay-Per-View and payperview.com. Terrence Crawford at 154 against Makhanoff. And there it is. Terrence Crawford next Saturday night. Back in the ring at 154. That's the priority. Those are the fights for him that he wants. 154, a good division. 154 is where Terrence Crawford now will be as the former unified one champion at 147. And a fight we'll talk about more next week as is on the calendar as a major fight show next week because you're going to have Pitbull Cruz defending his title also, 140-pound title against Venezuela. The youngster, Jared Anderson, at a top rank. He's on that card, a rising heavyweight. And David Morrell and Andy Cruz, stacked card on pay-per-view next week as the kings and princes of Saudi Arabia and their season, Riyadh season, I think I'm pronouncing it right. I'm sorry, Riyadh season, debut in Los Angeles next Saturday night. And more to come on that, but more so the attention on Terrence Crawford. And where does he go now at 154? And the Riyadh season coming more into the boxing picture. The kings and princes of Saudi Arabia doing more and more with the money in Saudi Arabia and here in the States. In fact, they announced this week they're sponsoring other promoters' fights in the United States and Saudi Arabia. In particular, here in the States, they're getting involved with Top Rank and ESPN. They've scheduled something like 12 fight cards with Top Rank and ESPN between this year and next. So that's good for the sport. More exposure, whether you like the kings and princes or not, and the way they throw their money around in the boxing game, they're doing good for the sport because they're putting the fights together. And that's what Eddie Hearn likes about them. They throw out the almighty dollar to Eddie Hearn in Matchroom, and the fights are being made. So 12 fights with Top Rank, pretty damn good with ESPN, and also with the Zone and Matchroom, pretty good. Move on. Canelo Alvarez. It is now official, as we've been talking about. September 14th, T-Mobile Arena. Canelo Alvarez defends his undisputed 168-pound titles. And the first unified champ at 168 in the four-belt era. Canelo Alvarez fights twice a year. The mandatory out of the WBA, supposedly Edgar Berlanga, Puerto Rico and Brooklyn, who can stand in there with him, but doesn't have the power that Canelo has. A major fight on the calendar in the fall, September 14th, on the Zone pay-per-view and also payperview.com. That's going to go head-to-head, though, that fight. That at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas with UFC 306 at the Sphere in Las Vegas, which is only down the block. However, the thing here with Canelo Alvarez is the IBF title will not be up for grabs. So undisputed, maybe no more, though he might still have that. This is boxing politics. This is the alphabet soup organization part of boxing that I keep talking about every week, time and time again. Canelo Alvarez, though, has his next title defense supposedly undisputed. Edgar Berlanga, who's the WBA supposedly mandatory challenger, T-Mobile Arena. However, David Benavidez, nowhere to be found. He's not going to fight him because David Benavidez told the WBC just a couple of days ago, he's informed them that he's staying at 175, his new weight. Debuted at 175 earlier this year successfully. David Benavidez looking to fight Canelo Alvarez at 168, not getting him, realizing now he's got to stay at 175 in light heavyweight, which is a good move. Though I always said that David Benavidez fought Canelo Alvarez, that would be Alvarez's toughest fight. He's got the power to beat Canelo Alvarez. All right? So Benavidez held the WBC. Now I'm staying at 175. His objective, his goal, to get the winner of the October 12th unification bout between Dmitry Bivol and Arturo Beterbiev for the light heavyweight championship. Benavidez has his eyes on unifying that division. Good chance he can do it, but he has to wait. He has to wait because first he has to see how it develops with Bivol and Beterbiev, a very highly anticipated and pulled and a fight that's been pushed back also for the unified light heavyweight titles at 175. That comes up October 12th on pay-per-view. On that Canelo Alvarez card, just announced as well, Danny Garcia, former champion, two-time at 147, going to be back in the ring out of Philadelphia, going to be there. And he's going to be fighting Lara, 12 rounds, middleweight, though. Garcia has always said he wanted to go up in weight. He's going to be up there in weight. Back in the ring for what? I don't think he's fought in 2 years or so. Danny, we'll see what skills Danny Garcia has left. You don't see him much in the gym or training. I'm sure he will now for sure, because the fight's been announced against Lara. Will give him a tough fight. And Danny Garcia has become a promoter himself down in Philadelphia, putting on some good shows. So that's going to be good. Good card with Canelo Alvarez defending against Edgar Berlanga. We look forward to that in the fall, September 15th, T-Mobile Arena. Big news also in boxing with Top Rank. They've landed a major superstar to me in this sport who went with Canelo Alvarez just a few months ago. Lost to Canelo in May. Golden Boy no longer has their star Mexican product, Jaime Munguia. What are the details and specifics about this? No one knows. All we do know is this, that Jaime Munguia is no longer with his homegrown promoter, Oscar De La Hoya, who loved him. He pushed him and loved him. Munguia has gone to Top Rank, a major signing for Top Rank and ESPN, a multi-fight promotional deal. The 27-year-old will now be seen on ESPN with a good push. A great move for Top Rank. A big loss for Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy. And Top Rank is also set for an all-Mexican rematch. WBO Junior Welterweight Champ Emmanuel Navarrete, one of the top exciting fighters in the sport. He goes in there and he gives you a war all the time. And he's got the challenger against Oscar Valdez, another good one on December 7th, ESPN. That we look forward to as the fight calendar winds down in December. Boxing's always going on. We just don't get the exposure the sport needs. Every time I talk to people and other media members that I associate with in baseball at the ballpark, and they say to me, your sport is dead. To them, it's dead. To us, it's not. Just look at the fights I'm announcing. Yeah, as I told you last week in my mid-year recap, how controversy reigns in the sport all the time. It's normal. It happens. How the big fights sometimes don't happen because of alphabet soup organizations, because of this riffraff here and there and all about the almighty dollar money. The sport is healthy. The sport's well. You just that boxing fans know about it. Others don't. All right? So don't tell me the sport is dead. It's not. And the WBC. And this is one of the reasons why people can get turned off at the sport, because Shockey Foster, where the title was robbed of him, the featherweight title from Consejo, just a few weeks back. And we saw that on ESPN. It was highway robbery for this young man who was a deserving champion. And now he's going to get his retribution because the WBC has ordered the rematch. Foster Consejo, 2 weeks ago, they said, this has to happen. It's official. That'll be on ESPN. We'll let you know the date. But see, that's why boxing doesn't get the credibility and doesn't get the right headlines, because of stupid decisions by three blind mice at ringside, the judges. And what they did to Foster was a travesty. Close fight. Some said that Foster did lose. A majority said he didn't. Foster won that fight. So he's going to get his rematch. He'll get his redemption. This weekend, the heavyweight division on the spotlight. That's really the major show. And that's going to be on ESPN. I think it's also on the Zone. Heavyweights Joe Joyce and Derek Trioza, ESPN Plus. It's upcoming this weekend. And yeah, there's implications here for these two heavyweights because they're in the mix for the heavyweight title. Of course, we get to see what Usyk and Fury do in December in their rematch in late December. And either one of these guys, Joe Joyce or Derek Trioza, could be a part of that heavyweight title mix, pending how one of them who wins this fight on Saturday. Two heavyweights that aren't the most exciting, but will make it interesting. And we'll see this 12 rounds on Saturday night or Saturday afternoon, I believe it's in the UK. Trioza and Joe Joyce. You know the names. They're in the heavyweight division. Implications for either one of them. They move up in the heavyweight division, whoever gets it. My pick on this one, I haven't decided. Because I think it's going to be a good heavyweight fight. If you get a chance to watch Saturday afternoon, do so. All right. It's almost nostalgia, and I'll do that later in the hour. But we're coming up now to the Paris Summer Games, the Olympics, and we're also coming up to a significant anniversary with boxing and the Olympics in 1984. 40 years ago, there's the plaque. I was a part of it in Los Angeles at the Forum. I was stationed by the United States Olympic Committee to be one of the publicity representatives for that 1984 USA Olympic boxing team. There's the plaque they gave me as part of my service, which I cherish each and every day. 40 years ago, these young men achieved history in Olympic boxing history and became successful pros. We perhaps will never see this ever again, as Olympic boxing seems to be going out the window, so they say. And yet the USA has never had an Olympic boxing team of this magnitude since then, 40 years ago. Or 38 years ago. As we're coming upon the Paris Games, where they'll be boxing again for 2 weeks, we may not see this, because you had more than one gold medal winner and a bronze winner and a silver medal winner in Virgil Hill. That team went on to become successful professional fighters with championships. And if you remember, those who were around, I certainly did because I covered it, and I knew these guys very well because I was with them at the Olympic venue for like a month. Primetime ABC showed the debuts of Mark Breland, and you know what Mark Breland went on to do in the sport as a successful champion. Terrell Biggs, the heavyweight who faded away. Evander Holyfield, the Hall of Famer heavyweight champion. Meldrick Taylor and Pernell Whitaker out of Philadelphia. And Virgil Hill, who also we talked about on the program last week. He won the silver. He fought Louis DeVal for the light heavyweight title and beat him in a controversial decision as a pro. But all of those guys that you see on that picture that were highlighted on the cover of Sports Illustrated, my Sports Illustrated, was a great sports tabloid that doesn't exist no more. They main evented on ABC. Lou Duva main events. The late Lou Duva promoted them with Shelley Finkel. All won those fights at the Garden in New York City, Madison Square Garden. They went 6-0 with 3 knockouts that night and went on to become successful professional fighters and champions. Again, 1984, 40 years ago, Los Angeles Olympic Games, the USA boxing team with the medals. Never going to see a team like that ever again. And my, oh my, was I happy to be a part of that history. Sad note this week, rest in peace, Richie Sandoval, former WBA bantamweight champion, 63 years of age, amateur standout, gave up his spot at the 1980 for the 1980 USA Olympic boxing team because the Moscow Games were boycotted. If you're old enough to remember that, won a title in the 50-round knockout. Deep Jeff Chandler, April 7, 1984, 2 title defenses, and was working with Top Rank, his original promoter. But there were demons in his corner at times. Richie Sandoval, who I knew, because I got to know him at a Top Rank, would be at ringside many times, even the Top Rank offices in Las Vegas, Nevada. He was in the boxing management team division. Richie was in chronic pain for all those years of fighting, and he was a good one as a bantamweight champ. But we lost him this week. It's sad. So we told the bell, 10 count. Rest in peace, Richie Sandoval, 63 years of age, former world champion. Well liked by many, including yours truly. This one MMA note that I have for you this week, Nick Diaz returning to the October octagon. He's supposed to, but his fight was delayed because of travel issues and Saudi Arabia. He's coming back after a TKO loss to Robbie Lawler in 2021. He's back in there, but now he's delayed. He's had substance abuse issues with drugs. The UFC says that the welterweight bout that he had scheduled in the octagon will be rescheduled. So that's the one MMA note. There is an MMA show of significance this weekend. We'll go on ESPN, and we'll talk more about that next week. All right. Coming up to our first break of the hour, this is Keep It in the Ring. I'm Rich Mancuso. I want you to like, comment, and subscribe on my YouTube channel, Rich Mancuso. Jabroni United, String Punk Entertainment, my social media, X, formerly Twitter, Ring786, Facebook.com, Rich Mancuso. We'll take this brief time out. When I come back, we'll talk pro wrestling. I'm going to bring Thomas in it as well, talk about some of the wrestling stuff and, some of the boxing stuff as well. And have that fact of the week that Thomas will try and get. Rich Mancuso, Keep It in the Ring. Back in a moment. Stay with us.
feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.
Before we get to the fact of the week, and before I bring Thomas in, I got to tell you about Thomas. Take that down. We're not there yet with fact of the week. He's doing a great job filling in for my great producer and organizer of this, Scott Church and Spring Comes Entertainment. A family emergency. I hope he's well. I hope the family's well. And he'll be back with us next week with Tommy D pitching in and doing a great job at the last minute. I thank him so much. We become great friends and colleagues in this business as well. Pandemonium. We're going to talk more about that in the weeks to come. Jason Knight's ACW Pandemonium heading to the Viper Center there in New Jersey. I'm on the broadcast team again with Tommy Cairo. That's October 12th. Keep you posted on that. And that's why you've been seeing those promos every week on the program. All right, Thomas, come on in, my friend. Tommy D. Come on in.
What's going on, Rich? How's everything?
There you go. There's my buddy who has a show also on YouTube. You're my guest this week and my producer. How about that?
I'm doing double duty.
And you do a nice show on Facebook and YouTube, and you can plug that again. But you know, doing this for me at the last minute tonight, I very much appreciate it. I don't know if we're going to do dinner together or whatever, but it's on me. Okay. Hey. Thomas, while you're here, because you're so versed in all sports as well, like me, but boxing is your love, just like me. And talking about some of the things that you, of course, commanded on the first part of the program tonight. What did you make of Jaime Munguia going to Top Rank?
I was shocked. I was shocked. I mean, that was their, like one of their main guys on the Golden Boy stable. You know, he gave a fair showing versus Canelo. I thought Canelo kind of, went easy on him after he knocked him down. But, he's still young, and, I don't think he's going to, he was beaten up that bad that he'll digress. I think he'll be competitive, and maybe they'll match him up well with some of their fighters in Top Rank. So.
I found that to be very interesting because we haven't heard Oscar De La Hoya's reaction to all this right now, and he loved him. That was one of his big guys, and he was looking for bigger things from him. And I don't know if there was a division with them or if he just went for the money. I didn't even know he was available to make a move like that. Regardless, this is a major move for Top Rank getting Jaime Munguia. Really is.
Yeah, it's huge. And I mean, he made I don't know how much he made with the Canelo fight, but I'm sure he made enough money. So maybe it's more of a to fight better guys at Top Rank. Maybe they got better guys in their stable than they do.
Well, they do. I mean, at that division, though, we got to look at it and see who's out there for Munguia next. 168, I think his plan was to even move up in weight because he came in over 168 against Canelo. Am I right?
He came in a little bit over, yeah, but he was, he made the weight, but like all fighters do, they pretty much they gain extra weight.
No, they never come in the contracted weight. Well, I'll say go back to the old days again. 15-round fights, weigh the fighters the same day. That's only fair. That's what they should do. And what about Jake Paul? I didn't get your reaction about Jake Paul's win. What do you think?
I think it's still a joke. I mean, I think there's some positive and negatives where, it's good for the sport. He's bringing, he's put a lot behind Amanda Serrano's got Amanda Serrano paid. She's kind of like, to me, she's the feature attraction, on his fights. Right. And just like his next fight, even though he's the main event with Tyson's the attraction, but everybody really wants to see Katie Taylor against Amanda Serrano rematch.
Which we'll get November. Yeah. We'll get it November 15th, the rematch. Yeah.
And then he looked good. He looked good, but he fought a guy that couldn't box. So he was able to do some things. The guy did not know what to do in the ring. He's never really boxed. He didn't know how to jab. He didn't know how to keep his hands up. His hands were down the whole
bare knuckle fighter, totally different style. That's why. But where does Jake Paul go from here? You heard me, and I say it all the time. Until he fights a legitimate guy, and I'm not talking Mike Tyson, I can't take him serious. He can't. He's got to fight legitimate fighters to make his move.
Yeah, I can't either. If I was Jake Paul's team at this point, they have the money. Offer some money to a guy at the end of his career right now, a name guy. I'm just going to throw names out there because I wrote this on Twitter with somebody recently. Danny Jacobs just recently retired, but somebody like Jacobs, maybe not Danny Jacobs per se, but somebody like him that's at the end of his career. And let's see how he does against experience, against an elder guy. But a guy with experience can still kind of, make you look.
Yeah.
Right? So,
Yeah. I mean,
that's what I think he needs to do.
Look, Shake is good for the sport in some ways and bad in many other ways, as I've been saying. Thomas, what about Canelo Alvarez now in September 15th, T-Mobile Arena? I hope me and you can go there, catch that together in Vegas.
I wish. I don't know.
But you've never seen me. You've never seen me how I act in Las Vegas. You can't find me.
I've never been to Vegas actually either. So
you got to go to that then. All right.
Yeah.
But Edgar Berlanga is an interesting fight. 16-0, that great knockout ratio record coming in, trying to get a record for start of a young fighter. Pretty good. I mean, I think he's talented, but I don't see him going long with Canelo Alvarez. I'm sorry, and he's a mandatory supposedly.
I see it a little different. I really wanted Berlanga to take another kind of like tune up another fight before this fight, because he's had 2 fights now that he's reunited back with his old coach, Mark Ferret, who I think was the best fit for him. I know he left a little for a while and went with Andre Rozier for a little bit. Now he's back with Mark. I think that's a good fit. He's back to boxing again, using the jab a little bit more. I honestly wanted him to get another tune-up. But now that the fight's done and set and he's the fight, I'm rooting for him. I like Berlanga. I think he's got a chance. But at the end of the day, it's not what the fans want. We wanted David Benavidez and Canelo. That's what we wanted.
Why do you give him a chance?
Because he's a natural big guy. I know Canelo's moved up in weight. He's bigger than Canelo. He can box, and we've seen that in the last 2 fights. He shows glimpses of it. I think before he came up in the pros, Berlanga was known as a boxer. Once he got in the pros, he started getting the knockouts as a big guy. Fighting at middleweight. That's what you do. And I think he kind of fell in love with that and kind of stepped away from what got him there. And I think with Mark Ferret, I think he's got him back to boxing and doing the things that got him there, to the pros. So I give him a fair chance. Canelo's on the decline as well.
But I'm sorry, I do not see this fight going past 8 rounds, and I see Canelo winning this fight easily. I don't, not easily, but I just see it within 8 rounds. Canelo likes to get rid of guys. Then I don't think it's going the distance. I mean, I could be wrong, and those who think that I can't stand Edgar Berlanga, no, that's not it. It's just strictly my opinion.
But when's the last time Canelo's got a stoppage?
I know. That's the other point, which then you say question that Canelo Alvarez's skills have diminished, which I don't think they have. But then you see that when's the last time he got a stoppage, which is a very legitimate point. You and many others in the sport know that has been going on. It makes you wonder where his skills are at, that he can't finish opponents off, that he's got to go the distance. And perhaps Edgar Berlanga will do that with him and maybe even sneak in a punch that'll hurt him. But no. Canelo's punches to the body are just too powerful.
Yeah.
And I realize Edgar Berlanga has one as well.
I think Berlanga's got to get his respect early and let him know that he's there, and so that Canelo does it, he's afraid to get hit back, right? So I think he's got to establish something early. He'll establish the jab and maybe land one nice shot where Canelo says to himself, I got to be careful. I don't want to get hit too many times by this guy.
All right. Tommy D, filling in as my producer tonight, also has a show on YouTube and a couple of other outlets, and one of my buddies, Socrates. They do a great job. Let's continue before I go into the wrestling with you, where you're also well-versed. What do you make of Lomachenko now stepping aside? And in case of this now, the situation is, where does Gervonta Davis go now? Because that was going to be the fight.
I was shocked. I thought this was an easy fight to make. I thought Bob really said that was the fight he wanted to make for Loma. I mean, Loma wants to be undisputed, like at 135, and this would have been, the way to do it. I'm really shocked that he went the route. My guess what I'm thinking is happening where Lomo all of a sudden wants to be with his family. I'm thinking he didn't get the money he wanted, he asked for. That's what I take from it. Either way, it's a duck, right? And and now we're laid, with Tank Davis looking for an opponent. Some people say fight Shakur.
Yeah, I think so. That's a fight I want to see. I think a lot of want to see that.
Yeah, I would. I definitely,
especially as I said, Thomas, if Shakur signs with Matchroom and Eddie Hearn, that fight happens.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it does happen. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Tank, what is Tank is with PBC, or is he with Floyd? Or
Tank is with PBC.
PBC, yeah.
And
so
they're willing to work with Eddie Hearn, especially if it becomes money. They'll do it. It's just a matter of.
I hope they don't go. Another rule. I was hearing another thing where if Pitbull Cruz wins, they might go after Pitbull Cruz next.
Well, that would be good too.
Yeah.
Either way, Tank Davis has a lot of options. And he can go this way, go that way. He's got a lot of options. He's a very talented young fighter, and has still got a great future ahead. And going to make a lot of boxing history. And he makes an awful lot of money, as we know. Let's move to the pro wrestling stuff, Thomas. I know you're versed on that. We keep it in the ring. Let's continue. SummerSlam's upon us a week from Saturday. And we're seeing what's going on Monday Night Raw. Drew McIntyre now with CM Punk, who's been cleared, and Seth Rollins as the third man referee. And what's your take on that?
It's interesting. I like it. I mean, they built it up for months now. I mean, and then adding Seth Rollins as the referee. I think we're going to get an exciting match. I wonder if we get one of those like old school where, when The Rock was a referee and, he counts to 2 and then he doesn't count 3 and,
I think something's going to happen.
Yeah.
I think McIntyre is going to get screwed again. It's going to lead to maybe a 3, like a triple threat match or something.
Yeah.
That could be happening, but it's interesting though. Yeah. And then you got the triangle that's continuing. It's going to happen. We're going to see Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan for the title, but Dirty Dom's in the middle of all this. What do you make of what's been going on with that?
I think it's excellent work. I think it's one of the best things they got going right now. One of the best angles. I think Dom is excellent. But I think the obvious thing here is Dom is going to turn on Rhea. And he's going to help. Yeah, I think that's the obvious thing. He's got Dom is, to me, in my opinion, Dom is the most over wrestler in wrestling. Nobody gets a better reaction than Dom, right?
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable how the crowd outworks him every time.
Yeah, I think the best thing is him to help Liv, and she'll retain the title because Dom messes up. Now, if they milk it, they may milk it and make it look like an accident.
But the triangle continues. And we'll see more of that before SummerSlam next Saturday night in Cleveland, Ohio on Peacock. Sami Zayn, and is it? I think Braun Breaker. Now they've milked this enough. They've gone at it more than once every week, even on their premium live events on Peacock. Braun Breaker, I think he's going to get the title. You could see that happening.
Yeah, I think he finally gets over this time.
Yeah,
but they'll probably be one of the best matches of the night. They both tremendous good workers. Sami Zayn knows how to put people over. Yeah, that's probably going to be the match tonight. But I expect Braun to finally, get his first title.
And this bloodline angle, when is Roman Reigns going to be? I'm hearing conflicting reports that Roman Reigns returns at SummerSlam. And then now the official war is on for control. Who is the tribal chief? What do you think?
We're all hearing that, and I think that's what everybody's looking forward to. I mean, there's a couple people out there. There's Roman Reigns, and then there's Jey Uso, right? Is it Uso may come back?
Yeah, talking about Uso and Jey and Jimmy reuniting with him.
Yeah,
and maybe even Cody Rhodes being a part of this.
Yeah, so which will lead up to what? Survivor Series, right?
Yeah, and very interesting theater where WWE is doing very well. That angle and the return of Paul Heyman. And how about LA Knight, Logan Paul? Logan Paul is very talented. Logan Paul plays a great heel. He's fantastic.
I like Logan. I think he's good, and I expect him to go over again. I think he wins. I think LA Knight is good. He's over with the fans, but I think I think he's better at putting guys over as well. I don't think he's ready to really take that number one spot. You know, a lot of people like LA Knight. I'm not a really big fan of LA Knight. I think he mimics a little bit of the Rock and Stone Cold a little too much, in my opinion. But you know, I love Logan Paul. I think Logan Paul has to go over in this match.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Put this image up, Thomas. These releases coming up, talent. There's this talk that MVP is Bobby Lashley gone and Tamina, but more so the big name here, Bobby Lashley, and getting released because the new, the merger with Nedrick TKO, and they're cutting back, and there's been no role for these guys, and that Bobby Lashley could become this coveted free agent heading to AEW. I found this to be a surprise during the week.
Yeah, I was shocked at this as well, but it kind of looks like they didn't really know what to do with Bobby Lashley at the end of the day. Like they try to, they try to build that connection with him.
And even with MVP, with the Omos, I mean, it just like it died and never heard anything no more. But MVP has had some medical issues, stem cell and stuff like that. So he'd been out of the picture, but they haven't made it official yet with either three here. But I'll tell you, Bobby Lashley is officially released. Tony Khan and AEW are going to go after him.
Yeah, and he kind of fits the bill, like, for what AEW does. They either got the big, good-looking, heavy, bodybuilding type guys, or the guys that do 100 somersaults over the top rope. So he fits the description.
All right, put this up, Thomas, because AEW is getting interesting. I know that because they're on the verge of signing a new deal with Time Warner Brothers, and they got to make their shows, especially Dynamite, their main program on Wednesday night on TBS, interesting. And it's been that way the last few weeks. They're getting ready for All In pay-per-view at the end of the month in the UK, Wembley. And yeah, last night, MJF does it again. He's as heel can be, even better than ever before.
Yeah.
Drops the international title in a trash can, continuing this feud with Will Ospreay, and then comes out again with another version of a new title, his own, like he did with the heavyweight title. Now it's called not the international title. He has the American title. Nice looking belt, isn't it?
Yeah, it is nice. I like MJF. I mean, and MJF, there was rumor of him coming to WWE, but he's better off over there. He fits what they do.
Yeah.
Maybe in 6 months, maybe WWE might be better for him as they go to Netflix, right? And then they can get a little
I don't
bit more
think Tony Khan's
gonna.
I think he's getting well compensated by Tony Khan AEW.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going anywhere. But that's a beautiful title,
Yeah.
And it's leading up to Ospreay and MJF at All In. So Ospreay will get the his international title back. And that's a good, MJF and him, that's a good match. We saw it 2 weeks ago, an hour, and had everything. You couldn't ask for better than that. All right, Thomas, you ready to fact of the week? Put it up.
Oh, fact
You're going to put it up. Now take a crack at it, because it's sponsored by Pandemonium and AEW and Jason Knight coming back to the Viper Center in Williamsburg, New Jersey. And it's going to be Pandemonium for Jason Knight and ACW, the rematches and all that. And Thomas, here's the fact, and it's pro wrestling fact. Not hard at all. Because SummerSlam is next Saturday. SummerSlam has been a premium WWE event. Now what? This is the 36 events. They're having their 37 next Saturday. Can you tell me, it's a fact, not trivia again, the wrestler with most losses at SummerSlam?
Wow, the most losses at SummerSlam?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
Well-known Hall of Famer.
Well-known Hall of Famer. Well, there is one I'm thinking off the back. I don't know if this is it. He was kind of a jobber, but he is in the Hall of Fame. I'll take a stab. I'll go Coco Beware.
No.
Okay.
No, you're way off.
Oh, man.
I got to tell you now that he had 15 matches at SummerSlam, out of 36 events, and he'd probably be at this one again next Saturday. He's lost 10 of his matches, the most a WWE wrestler at SummerSlam has lost. His name, you can't see me, John Cena.
Wow. Oh my.
Yeah, that's a fact.
That's a good one. I would have never got that. Wow. Never would have thought.
You're always welcome to look it up if I give it to you.
I'm definitely going to look it up after this show.
That a boy. All right, Thomas. Great job with doing some of the boxing, wrestling fill in here, and trying to get the fact. And we're going to close that up. Take a quick final break on Keep It in the Ring. I'm Rich Mancuso, and we'll be back. And we'll wrap it up with the nostalgia clip image of the week and talk about that a little more. Stay with us. This is Keep It in the Ring. I'm Rich Mancuso, live on my YouTube channel, Rich Mancuso, Jabronis United and String Punk Entertainment. Like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification button each and every week. We'll be here. Stay with us. Back in a moment.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.
And don't forget, we'll talk about it more as we get to October 12th. Pandemonium, ACW, Legend, and Jason Knight, and all the old ECW stars, the rematches. And that's going to be on pay-per-view with String Punk Entertainment. We'll tell you more about that. We keep getting closer. You know, we're already in the end of July, and then it'll be August, and then September, and then we're in October. Boy, where did this year go by? Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, my friends, to the channel, YouTube, Rich Mancuso. Get me on X, for my Twitter, Ring786, Facebook.com, Rich Mancuso. And, of course, thanks again for Tommy D filling in. And you can watch him. Tom, come on in one more minute before I do nostalgia and tell the fans
Okay. Well, you can catch me on on YouTube at TD Sports Talk, or you could just do in the search engine. You could put my full name, Thomas Dillamouth, DILLEMUTH, or you can catch me on Facebook. I do Facebook Live streaming from YouTube. And we got a special interview tomorrow. We have a fighter from New Mexico, Albuquerque, New Mexico, Matt Griego, the Diamond Boy. He's got a big fight in 2 weeks, so you don't want to miss that. Between 9 and 10 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. Look out for it.
We'll be all tuning in. I'll be at the ballpark, but I'll still tune in, Tom. Thank you, my friend.
No problem.
Keep it in the ring. I'm going to thank you again before we go off. Well, let's get to the nostalgia. I love doing this every week. Some of you tell me you love it as well. We go back here in history to July 28, 1952. There he is, The Rock, the original Rock. Rocky Marciano, the Brockton Baller, heavyweight champion, KO'd Harry Matthews. And it's round 2 of 10 for the heavyweight title eliminator. And believe it or not, Yankee Stadium in New York. That's where it happened. Okay. That win in the title eliminator for Marciano got him a shot at the title against the great Hall of Famer, Jersey Joe Walcott, also the former champion. Walcott, and then in September, would later win the title and defended it 6 times, that heavyweight title, when we had one champion in the sport and not this plethora of other alphabet soup organization titles, as I say. The Rock finished his career and his life ended unexpectedly in a fatal private plane crash. The Rock, with 49-0, 43 KOs, surpassed supposedly by the Hall of Famer Floyd Mayweather Jr. But this was boxing as it was. 15 rounds, heavyweight fights, Yankee Stadium, Bronx, New York. Rocky Marciano was one of the top heavyweights in the sport, maybe the top heavyweight in the sport that ever lived, though you get the argument and debate about him and Muhammad Ali. Many debate that. Who would be better? Different era. I never compare two fighters of the past like that, different eras. But heck, if those two ever fought in the ring, that would have been interesting. Rocky Marciano, though, Jersey Joe Walcott, they had great fights, and Harry Matthews gave it a try, but this propelled The Rock to become a part of boxing history, heavyweight champion of the world. I had a great museum up in Mount Vernon, New York, Rocky Marciano memorabilia. Steve Acunto, who was a friend of his, and Rock and Steve Acunto at the time, co-founded a group called the American Association for Improvement of Boxing, which I was a member of, and also was a recipient of the Writer of the Year award way back then when I was a kid, not like I am now. But a great museum up there in Mount Vernon, New York, that Steve Acunto was able to establish. 2 floors in his house of a Rocky Marciano museum. Not even the Boxing Hall of Fame in Canastota, New York, has that memorabilia. And I want to find out if that's still around, because I could tell you where to go visit it if you were fans of the great late heavyweight champion, The Rock, Rocky Marciano. More nostalgia next week. Hope you enjoy that as much as I do. And with that, we put an end to Keep It in the Ring this week. Again, thank you, Thomas, for filling in, Tommy D, for my great buddy and producer, puts this together with me. That being Scott Churston for Stream Punk Entertainment. Hope all is well. He had a family emergency, and I hope, Scott, and prayers to you and the family back home. Thank you all once again to watching Keep It in the Ring and supporting me each and every week. Live on my YouTube channel, Rich Mancuso. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification button. We're here just about every week live now on my YouTube channel, String Punk Entertainment, Jabronis United, and Facebook and Twitter, and wherever else. Each and every week live, Thursday evening, 8 p.m. Eastern. Maybe next week I may not be here because I have some traveling to do, but we'll keep you noted, because if I'm not live, we'll have a tape version of the show and you'll know about it if you like, comment, and subscribe. Again, reach me at X on Twitter, Ring786, Facebook.com, Rich Mancuso. Keep It in the Ring is here for you. I enjoy doing it. I hope you enjoy it, listening and watching just as much. So I want you all this week, stay safe, be good to each other, and God bless. And as I always say, keep it in the ring. Thank you. I'm Rich Mancuso. See you next week.